Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said to them, draw out and take a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of his house until the morning. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. I must concede the more I read, the more ludicrous it seems in nature, especially in this particular book. And we know this, the Bible has many stories, different books. And this one I don't find to be very impressive or persuasive or even terribly beautifully written. It lacks the literary flair that we've seen in previous books of the Bible. One thing that's worth noting is it's very strange. If God is the Almighty, the all-knowing, in fact, the creator of all things, why do you need to put a sign on your door to let him know that you're the good guy, right? He should know that already. Utterly ludicrous concept. But let us carry on. And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to you and your sons forever. And it shall come to pass when you have come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he has promised, that you shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children say to you, what do you mean by this service? You shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, and they did so. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt. And there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, arise and depart from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord as you have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. I think one thing that's worth asking yourself, because this is a bit strange in as much as God, the Lord, has murdered the firstborn of all of the Egyptians, from the highest, the Pharaoh, to the lowest, those who dwell in the dungeon, and even the cattle. Bro didn't spare anyone. But what I find to be particularly disturbing is the firstborn. These may have been innocent children, and presumably the cattle is innocent, right? I don't know if the cattle were wicked, right? So it just seems to be very heavy-handed, very vicious, and with no respect to the possible innocence of these individual beings. It just seems a bit cruel, in other words. It's like you're punishing those who have nothing to do with the actual issue. That's the strange part to me. I don't know if anyone else finds that strange or peculiar. It's like this guy over there did something wrong, so we're going to kill everybody in the land, or every firstborn in the land, even if they didn't do anything bad. It's a bit strange. And, this is one of the reasons that you have to find our human existence to be a bit peculiar in that life is precious, but life is also so easily swept away, whether it's by a tsunami, by an earthquake, by a hurricane, a tornado, a twister, a school shooting, or any of the above. Life is precious, but also so easily swept away, whether it's a unnecessary war, you name it. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people so that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we are all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they asked the Egyptians for jewels and silver, jewels of gold, and clothing. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have such things as they requested. And they plundered the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, who were men besides children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and also flocks and herds, even very many cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought from Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were driven from Egypt and could not delay. Neither had they prepared for themselves any food. See, this is just so peculiar. It certainly is in line with how modern human history operates, which is to say that the strength of the leaders or the leadership class of a given people are going to define the life chances and life quality of a given people, right? You see, if Zelensky in Ukraine decides to continue on in war, he has basically signed up the sons for death and signed up the women to have to flee the country. So the leadership class will define the plight of the average person. It's just you wouldn't expect such unfortunate things to occur in biblical times and see, the Lord himself causing death and destruction to those who are relatively innocent and merely victims of their ruler. Weird, just utterly weird. It's like really no good way to explain that. Shout out to Josiah, just sent in for the Drip Trip 2026. I have an eerie feeling this one's going to be sold out pretty quickly. Shout out to Carter. Writes, peace to the saints. Thank you for this series. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to those who support it and who have been watching and enjoying it. This is an unusual one. That's why it's not terribly well attended. But, Jesus had 12 disciples. He didn't have 12 million or 12,000. And in fact, I think if Jesus was here today, he'd probably again have 12 disciples, for so many people twist what the message was. Even among the Muslims, so many people say that they respect the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but they take his message and misapply it, abuse it, and they don't live it out. Little has changed in human affairs. Only technology has advanced. Human nature has remained fairly constant. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the same day it came to pass, that all the hosts of the Lord departed from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed to the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. That is the night of the Lord to be observed by all children of Israel in their generations. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. No stranger shall eat of it, but every man's servant who is bought for money. When you have circumcised him, then he shall eat of it. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat of it. In one house it shall be eaten. You shall not carry anything of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone of it. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger sojourns with you and wishes to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one who is born in the land, for no circumcised person shall eat of it. One law shall be to him who is homeborn, and to the stranger who sojourns among you. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I am circumcised, and I don't know what it would be like to not be circumcised, frankly. But I just find it strange that the Lord is deeply, deeply, deeply concerned with your penis, like the foreskin on your penis. It's like, is his penis wearing a beanie or not? It's critical. It's like, bro, what? Like, why is this so important? I don't get it at all. It seems very strange. And these seem to be peculiar practices, admittedly. And in this book that is supposed to be one of guidance, if you were to look at this chapter in isolation and try to seek something that would enhance your life, you'd find nothing. If you were trying to seek something that would give you guidance as to how to be more moral and live an upright, righteous life, you'd find nothing. Even if you were seeking to find an engaging literary tale, you'd find nothing. And there is no doubt that certain sections of the Bible are written by different human beings, because the quality of the message, of the stories, of the language is radically different. And it's just so blatantly apparent. There were earlier stories that we read, and they were utterly fascinating, truly inspiring, moving. Whereas this one just seems to be the recounting of, trial and error with God playing games with human beings. And at some point, it just makes you almost feel like God is like a petty, narcissistic creature that wants you to worship him in a very specific way, like go out of your way to do things that worship God, but might not necessarily impact your affairs on earth. I must say, just this chapter, very uninspiring and strange. This is not the only strange chapter in the Bible. I've actually read the entire Bible, even though we're reading it through, and I've not referenced any other later chapters. There's a number of chapters in the Bible that may be interesting, but also are quite strange. Chapters where you find that one older gentleman who was made to be drunk by his own daughters, and then they basically took advantage of him sexually, which is incestuous and obviously strange. So the Bible is a book that has many peculiar things, and mind you, God, the Lord, does not condemn that either. So these are things that you ought to think twice about, especially for those who are Bible thumpers and, those aggressive Christians that want to debate everyone. Frankly, I wouldn't do it. It is not a good idea. Shout out to Dominic writes, peace and saints tuition, passing around the collection plate to the few who really listen. Yes, indeed. And in fact, it is the few. But that makes sense because knowledge has always been something that is for the few. It has never been something that is for the many. Andre writes, shout out to my hooded fellas. Oh, yeah, by the way, for those of you who would like to support Brandon, shout out to Brandon. He produces this floral print hat right here. You can get this one, I believe, at Sasson.com. And as well, this one might be on MDB label. I couldn't call it. Somebody let me know. Shout out to Michael supporting the work. We appreciate you. I also acknowledge David. He writes, I got the red, blue, and tan Exercises Prayer shirt. The shirts fit like a glove, great quality, and will be worn with pride. Time to get this work in. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to try to go up one size just to see how the fit looks because I want to try some more colors. So I'm going to try to go up in one size. This one right here is medium. It definitely is hugging the arms if you want to look diesel when you're really not diesel. You heard me? Medium is a good fit for you. I'm 6 foot. So this one kind of fits perfectly. I'm going to try one size up, though, just out of curiosity. Exercises Prayer, and I do believe this one is at sasnbrand.com. Highly recommend it. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. I actually already read that one. Thus all the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, and they did so. And it came to pass the same day that the Lord brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. Going into chapter 13. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, sanctify to me all the firstborn, whatever opens the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moses said to the people, remember this day in which you came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand the Lord brought you from out of this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day you came out in the mouth Abib. And it shall be when the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the seventh day there shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with you, neither shall there be leaven seen with you in all your quarters. And you shall show your son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did to me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign to you upon your hand, for a memorial between your eyes, so that the Lord's law may be in your mouth. And with a strong hand the Lord has brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep this ordinance in its season from year to year. Jesus, are we still talking about bread? It's like word. We're still talking about bread here. Kobe writes, it's unfortunate. We will not get your take on the New Testament, or at least review the book of Proverbs. No, it is in fact all one book. People forget that. It is, you see, we call them books of the Bible, different stories, but it is supposed to be one volume, right? The Old and the New Testament, separate parts of the same volume. But who knows? Maybe one day it should come to pass that we would go through it. Maybe. But for this time, I think that we'll just go ahead and end it here. Ladies and saints, it's been a pleasure at this time to fellowship with you all. I would like to give a really sincere thanks to all of you who support my work, but especially those of you who are spiritually inclined, because all human beings are spiritual. And we might not realize that sometimes we embrace certain religions, not even realizing it's a religion to us. Some of us might embrace Islam, Christianity, and others might embrace Taylor Swift or Kodak Black as their religion, or fill in the blank. And so I encourage you all to be thankful about that which goes into your mind. Your mind is like a pond that you want to keep from pollutants being implanted there. So it's been a pleasure at this time to fellowship with you. I again thank you all for the support, and I'll see you all soon. Peace of the saints.